I ain't gonna lie, Milagro is feeding us today because I didn't know there was more out there. We are going to watch another clip of Milagro basically debunking everything that Tory Lanez had said, his new excuse about, oh, he didn't want to see two black women go to jail, he protected them. How that is all BS. On top of that, Milagro is finally getting her wake up call, and I think this is good for her. She needed this. As well as I'm going to address on whether or not I'm relishing in her downfall. I want to go ahead and just talk about that for a minute. But let's play the intro, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Let's get it going. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Talk the Real Deal with AT2. And yes, I'm your boy AT2. How everybody doing? How everybody living? How everybody feeling? What's up, Winnie? Shout out to you being the first one here. What's up, Megan? You haven't been this early before? Thank you for coming on time. What's up, Sherry? How you doing? What's up, Mia? What's up, Mia? How you doing? I'm glad you finally catching a live. Shout out to you. And shout out to all my members, by the way. Y'all help keep the bills paid. Shout out to y'all. What's up, Stephanie M? Where's the damn link for the membership? Hold on, because some of y'all asked me and I never promote it and stuff like that. But a lot of my videos that I do where I'm just talking my ish, I've moved those over to members only. So there is a benefit. Some people, they don't do any kind of members only video. No, I actually do members only videos. So mine's are actually worth it. Where the hell is that link? Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and just play this video while I look for the link. What's up, everybody? I see y'all coming while I look for the membership link. But Milagro in the beginning talks about how she's basically done with Tory. She's done. No more. Go to all those other people. But she goes into further detail because she talks about also as well this whole issue where he's coming up with this new excuse of he didn't want to see two black women go to jail. So she goes into further detail. So that's why I'm bringing this up again. Here we go. Let's play.
I expressed myself to y'all because Quan made me upset. Quan told me I was clout chasing. And I must have went stuff the fuck off on that hoe. Okay.
Clout chasing.
Do you know, next thing you know, people said, girl, you mad they started and tell you happy birthday. That's what they said. You mad because he didn't tell you happy birthday. I said, excuse me? The nigga ain't never got to tell me happy birthday. I want somebody to come and say, don't ever play with her like that. Because when it wasn't popular to stand for me, she did. That's all. Couldn't get that either.
When it wasn't popular to stand for me, she did. Now, I will say this. I'm seeing more people talk about free Tory Lanez now than before. I feel like when it's popular to do it, that's when all of a sudden they'll come out and say something. But Milagro has been one of the people always on it. She's never faltered. She never said, oh, no. Even now she's saying that she still believes that he's innocent. He needs to get out of jail, right? But I don't see any public support from him for her. And mind you, I'm not somebody who follows every day about Milagro, but I guess he shouted her out in a song before. Was that the only shout out she has ever gotten? Was a song? I mean, you can keep the song because right now I'm in a lawsuit. I need way more help than you giving me a shout out in a song, right? Why isn't her husband standing up for? Good question. Good question. Your question sounds too much like right. So yeah. I mean, you're right, Key. You're right. I didn't know she was married. Yeah, she's married. Yeah. Tory fell. Oh, some people were saying, what if we say we didn't believe Tory got stabbed? What if we said, oh no, he fell on the knife or something? You know, they compared it to where people are saying Megan wasn't actually shot. She's faking it, blah, blah, blah. Listen, whether it was bullet fragments or not, whether if you have gun residue on you and you're just grazed by a bullet, you still have to go to the hospital. I hope you guys know. Like, you still legally have to go to the hospital, and they will ask you, how did you get this? How did this happen? All right, let's continue.
Either. Right? Okay. So now I come tell you how I feel about some more shit. And I'm just traumatized and overreacting, child. So, okay. I'll be that. They say they made Quan apologize. Quan didn't apologize to me. That nigga came back trying to be fucking friendly. I'm like, when did Quan apologize? I'm confused. I don't remember that. Maybe I blinked. If Quan would have apologized, I wouldn't have brought it up. Simply put. They said, what if the lawyers told him not to repost or insert himself for the time being? Okay. So why put out an album that explicitly speaks on or touches on the lawsuit in itself, is what I would ask you. Rock Nation come up from Milagro. That's really funny. And then, what about before the case? And one could argue, if the case didn't accuse me of being in cahoots with him, would there have been a mention of it? No. I mean, would it? I don't know.
Pay attention to that, you guys. Because again, the lawsuit is basically trying to link her to Tory. That's where the payments come into play. And basically, he's funneling information or misinformation to her to put out to the public. That's what a lot of the lawsuit was based in. And of course, that deep fake corn video, that too. So there's a lot in the lawsuit that ties her to Tory Lanez, and that's what they're trying to prove.
I mean, shit. Because the next line had to do with the way that they were trying to tie it to him. So in my mind, 9 times out of 10, if there had not been a lawsuit filed, you wouldn't have heard that line in there. So let's just cut the shit. And it's okay. It is what it is. They say motherfuckers got messages through the Underground Railroad, bitch. Ain't no excuses. It's
Miss Barbara, what you talking about? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm upset that YouTube comes on and watch. Miss Barbara, retype that because I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, what?
like, that is crazy. I didn't name their page Desiree Peterson. You should have picked up the phone and called my dad. Don't you ever think we'll forgive you? My brother's in jail, for goodness sakes. None of Daystar siblings would ever get up here and leave any comment, bitch, let alone one like that. So I hope y'all don't follow this shit. Okay? You go for this shit if you want to. He don't even have a daughter named Desiree. Hello? Anyway. These people about crazy as hell. Exactly. To my dad's Peterson. But anyway. That's really it, bitch. And that's why I did not go outside yesterday. Because hello. The shit just be too motherfucking much. And it should be ridiculous. It really do. They said Chris Brown's team made a statement. Please say y'all getting him up out of there. Please. And For anybody that had a question about coverage, someone that I really feel like does good content is Crystal Nicole. So I cannot say that she'll be keeping up with whatever transpires next.
So here we go. So this is the part where she says like, "Oh, you can follow these other people that give coverage because she's not doing it no more, and they ain't gonna. She don't know if they're gonna give them daily updates like she do."
But if she does and you see it, I think it's worth a watch. So that's somebody else y'all can add to y'all list for updates. And there's at least a handful of really, really good Tory Lanez fan pages that keep everybody updated, that in my opinion keep it real unbiased. It's just about what's going on with him and just the black and white of it. So you can also go and follow those pages and turn on post notifications and stuff like that to stay in the loop and to keep yourself abreast of what's going on. I'm trying to think if there's anyone I missed in terms of where you can go to get information. I don't know, but you can
Okay, I'm
you
gonna
can
fast forward a
Few
little bit.
moments later.
Where's Chris Brown's statement, please?
Oh, let me guys
Hold on.
you guys the channel.
This next one, he ain't hear none of that, nigga. I hear you loud ass. Will you be covering more of the Diddy trial? Yeah. We finna go live. I got all the transcripts. We just finna read through that shit. Somebody said, or somebody posed a question, and all I can say is, I think it's worth the answer, but that's between them and their God. I think that yes, I can, baby. I think that it's what I said in the beginning. If you've had people standing for you, fighting for you, and somebody says something that sounds like you weren't fighting, I think you need to clear that up. Somebody posted a question and said, will the fan pages continue to fight and post? Because where are we with this at this point? And that's for Daystar to answer. I can't answer that question for you because I don't even know if the messages are real. I cannot validate messages that were not sent to me.
The Jason
And
message.
even if I could validate.
So remember when Jason Lee said that he read some messages saying that he took the rap for both Kelsey and Megan because he knows how it is because he lost his mom at 11 years old and he was protecting black women. That's what she's talking about right now. All right, let me continue.
The messages, I couldn't even tell you what his thought process is because I'm not him. So the only person that can tell you what he meant is him. So I do think that it's important, just because of the nature of the situation and what was alleged. I do think that he should clear that up. Absolutely. Because if someone accepted what Jason Lee said and said that comment about I ate that, I took the 10 years for her because she got a son, if people are to accept that at face value, then I don't think it would be crazy for them people to say, I'm not supporting you then.
What was that, Millie?
Because those cannot be one and the same. It can't. Those cannot coexist. And another reason why I feel like the shit make me feel like he did say that is because look at how they'll get up and still say they praying for Megan. So shit, if a nigga gonna tell you like, hey, we praying for her, and then you hear that allegedly he said I couldn't do that to her. I couldn't take her. That shit sounds kind of one and the same to me. That sounds kind of on par.
She literally debunking what he's been saying. Like, well, this ain't make no sense. Like, if you said like you took the rap for her, then what we out here crying for? Like, we trying to get you up out of jail, but you say you took the rap. If you took the rap, then yeah. Like, here's the thing, because people trying to make this, oh, he didn't want to snitch or whatever, right? Okay, you didn't want to snitch, but now you're trying to fight to get out of jail because you're saying that you ain't did it and that Kelsey did it. So you're still technically snitching either way. If you was really trying to just take the rap for him, you would just shut up and leave it alone. But you've been fighting this whole time.
But once again, I cannot validate those things. Somebody said it makes Tory look like he committed perjury. Daystar never spoke. So how could he commit perjury? He had no words, baby. Daystar didn't commit no damn perjury.
Right, the tip.
And I gotta be honest with you. If Jason Lee was gonna embellish, it would have been juicier than that.
So they haven't filed anything for the appellate court. As I understand, they haven't filed anything with the new evidence. Like they're always sending stuff to the appellate court to try to get an appeal and stuff like that, right? But this new information that Kelsey's driver who drove her to the trial, right? Not the driver who was in the car during the shooting, the driver that drove her to the trial overheard her say that she had the gun and Tory knocked it out of her hand, and then it went off when it hit the ground, and he was trying to save Megan, and that's what people this whole convoluted thing. They haven't took that information. Now, the reason why they brought that out to the forefront is because Tory got stabbed up. But this independent investigator who did an interview with Fox, we're gonna look at that afterwards. He did an interview with Fox News, which is interesting because Fox News claims not to be a news network. They claim to be an entertainment network. So pay attention to that, right? But he did a whole op-ed about the evidence and shit that he has. So yeah, we'll check that out after this. Just so that you guys know.
Like, come on now. That shit was very plain.
Oh, that's what you... Yeah, we already talked about that.
What? No. If a blogger gonna come up with a motherfucking story and look at his motherfucking phone, I feel like, child, listen. They said they killed the queen.
Talk about Jason Lee. Remember he said the queen was dead?
They said the messages say that he knowingly went with a false version of events. Well, the courtroom says that the defense was that it wasn't him because he wasn't the only one with gunshot residue on him. So once again, the most that could be said is that maybe he didn't fight for himself as hard as he could. If we're to believe that comment that was made in the context that it feels like it's being received.
Let's rewind that back.
Of events. Well, the courtroom says that the defense was that it wasn't him because he wasn't the only one with gunshot residue on him.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, the most that could be said is that maybe he didn't fight for himself as hard as he could. If we're to believe that comment that was made in the context that it feels like it's being received. Because you can't say that he wasn't like that was the defense. So no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the fact that he went along with something. The most I would say is that you didn't fight for yourself, or you didn't speak when you should have pointed her out then.
Right. And remember, here's the thing. It was said that his initial lawyers, he had said, maybe we can go with the excuse that Kelsey did it. But then they said that won't be believable if we go with that excuse. And I have to find the article where I read that at. But his initial lawyer said, no, we can't go with that because it's not believable. Now, why would your lawyers tell you that's not believable if that is the truth? And mind you, their whole argument was that he didn't shoot the gun. That he didn't. It was never... Their argument was never Kelsey did it. They left it up for interpretation like, oh, it could have been anybody. No, if you know who did it, say who did it.
That's the most I would say. Like the most I would say is you should have worried about yourself and you should just told the truth. The truth being whatever you feel like took place. Whatever you saw. Simply put. And make it make sense. In a world where we're sitting up here fighting and it's snot bubbles and shit, talking about a man being taken away from his son, imagine a slap in the face if you are to believe that he didn't text somebody and said, I couldn't take her away from her child. I couldn't do that because I lost my mama at 11. Nigga, what? I hope you didn't.
Right. So you were okay with you being taken away from your own child, but you didn't want Kelsey to be taken away from her child. Like, that don't even make any sense. See how clear Milagro thinks now that she's not underneath that Tory Lanez spell? Now that she's not going to get any dick from Tory Lanez, she can think clearly.
Say that. I hope you didn't mean that like that. Cause nigga, excuse me? What are you saying? So that shit ain't sitting right with me. And I would like to know if it's real or not. Because the Jason reading it, and it sound like it was okay for you to be away from your baby. But this gonna be the reason why he need to get out. Because on the other end, it's free him because he got a son to raise. So these things cannot coexist, is my point. These things cannot coexist. In this instance, it's gonna have to be either or. Because what Jason asserted contradicts everything. Everything. Basically. And that's why I think it's so important to get clarity on it. Because what's going on? You have people who, have just been mistreated so badly, defending him and standing for him.
She's talking about herself, by the way.
So it just, for me, if those messages are real, I have an issue with them. And all this time passing, he ain't confirmed or denied. It's just in the atmosphere. And it's like, okay, cool, y'all did say the tough shit. Well, I can't get jiggy with that shit.
But here's my thing. Jason Lee put it out there, but why does he have to make a statement saying like, oh yeah, I did text Jason? I'm confused why she's making the argument that he needs to come out here and say anything. She's still under the impression that Tory owes her something. And he doesn't. He doesn't owe her anything. And even Tory Lanez fans, they're like, you're making all of this about you. He's the one fighting for his life. We don't give a damn about you. And that should prove to her the only thing that they cared about is her defending Tory. They don't actually care about Milagro. They care about her defending Tory. There's a lot of people, like, for example, I always bring this up. When it comes to like the Jaguar right crowd, right? I'm not saying that I hate all of you. I just hate most of you. And the reason why I hate most of you is because y'all all fickle. Y'all not here when I'm talking about other stuff. Y'all only here because y'all have some kind of obsession with Jaguar right? So this is the same with Milagro. A lot of her fan base are there because she's pro-Tory. They tell them what they want to. She tells them what they want to hear. She's realizing that, yeah, a lot of these people, they don't rock with you because they actually respect your opinion. No, we want you to tell us about Tory and what's going on. This is why we like you, because you're a safe space for us to bash Megan. And that's what we want from you. All this independent thinking you're doing, we don't want that shit. This is what they're telling her. I'm a content creator, so I can break it down for y'all. It's the truth. What's up, Joy? How you doing?
I can't. Milagro can't. I can't keep smiling and going on. No. And then, right, we listening to records when niggas is saying everybody left me for dead, but Chris Brown gave me $250,000. For what? If we're to believe these messages. They trying to tie Chris Brown saying free you to Chris Brown being in jail. I know damn well the messages better not be real. So that's my thing. That's what I'm saying. This gets very fucking deep. Because a lot of people then extended themselves in such a way that you want to feel like you fighting for yourself too, right? Like you in it, right? This is about your life. So I don't think I'm overreacting at all. But I do understand why it's important for me not to be too rah-rah. Because people live for a soundbite. But
no, you gave us all the sound bites we needed. Thank you. Thank you for your services. I just want to clarify what Tory went to jail for. Now, it wasn't necessarily related to just Megan being shot. It's more or less related to him having a gun on him, period. Tory Lanez was sentenced to 10 years in prison for being convicted on 3 felony charges: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, possession of a concealed unregistered firearm, and negligent discharge of a firearm. So again, it's related to like if you have a gun and it happens to go off and somebody get injured, it's your fault at the end of the day. Just like a lot of these school shootings, they're getting in trouble because the parents are getting in trouble, which they definitely should, are getting in trouble because they should have, had their gun locked up. And it's their responsibility because the kids are using their GUNs to, yeah. I hate to put it that way, but that's how it is. And shout out to Kiki. Thank you so much. Hi, Boo, AT2, Chad, and Mods. I miss you all so very much. So happy. Milagro! Oh no, not Milagro! I love it. These YouTubers don't like me, so I don't care what you guys say about them. Finally understands that Tory and his fans were using her. I don't feel bad for her. A lesson learned, hopefully. Right. I feel like she's learning it, but I don't feel like she fully understands it. You know what I mean? I don't think she really grasps the concept. It seemed like she's having that realization out aloud to us, but she's not realizing it in full. Like, damn, I was played. Damn, I was used. You know? Let me ask you guys this. Do you feel, before I play the little Fox News clip from Neighborhood Talk, do you guys feel any remorse for Milagro? Yes or no? We'll do a 30-second countdown. Lot of no's in there. Okay, so in my last video from earlier today, there was people saying, oh, you seem to be relishing that she's being sued and blah, 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 blah. And no, it's not that at all. But at the same time, if you don't feel like you did anything wrong and you feel like you're right and justified in the shit that you were doing, what can I say? What do you want me to say? Now, if Milagro came on here and was all like, oh my God, guys, I can't believe I got myself into this. I feel like I was used. I was manipulated, blah, 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 blah. I'll be all like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And mind you, I don't even talk about Milagro. How many times do I talk about Milagro, y'all? Hardly ever. But I felt like this was poetic justice. That's why we're talking about it now. But when do I talk about her? So you can't even say like, oh yeah, you're relishing it. We barely talk about her over here on this channel. I think the last time we talked about her was because it was related to the lawsuit that she got from Megan, which essentially is related to Tory Lanez. That's when we talk about Milagro. Other than that, we hardly ever talk about her. So don't come over here saying, oh, you're relishing in her being sued and you're so happy. What if this happens to you? Listen, I hope it never happens to me. But if it happens to me, I'll have to handle that and I'll have to eat it. But with Milagro, she seems not to care. She said, now that her lawyer, the Unite the People, the same group of lawyers that were helping Tory, well, they also were supposed to be helping Milagro. They're supposed to pay for the lawyer. Guess what? They didn't. So she had to do a GoFundMe. Guess what? She didn't have $100K to pay the lawyer. Now the lawyer put in a thing, amendment or whatever, to drop out. He doesn't want to handle the case. So now what's going to happen? She's just going to be SOL. The Unite the People that helping Tory Lanez, the same people that's supposed to be helping her, she said they only reposted her campaign for the GoFundMe one time in 7 months. You screwed yourself, lady. When those people didn't have your back, you should have automatically thought like, okay, this ain't going the way I thought it was going. Like maybe I need to backtrack a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot of it. If his lawyers didn't have your back, that wasn't your first sign, like, oh, this shit ain't going in my favor. Those lawyers did not pay the lawyer because what it is that those lawyers don't have any jurisdiction in Florida where the lawsuit was filed, so they had to get someone else. Now that lawyer is saying that she can't be paid, so she went through that little Unite the People. They're based in Los Angeles. So you should have already known that this ain't looking too good. Maybe you should have got you an organization, somebody help you in Florida where the lawsuit actually is. So now look at you. Maybe they thought they were going to get something like it's out their jurisdiction or something like that. You know the thing that you can put in if somebody sues you and it's not in your jurisdiction, you can get it thrown out. Maybe they thought they were going to get that, but no, you ain't going to get that. So again, she screwed herself. Again, hopefully she comes to the full realization, like, I need to take a step back and maybe I need to move on from this shit. Motion to withdraw. Yes, that's what he did. Maybe she'll get that realization, like, hey, I need to take a step back and, move on from this. Or maybe not. Like I said, I feel like she's getting to that point where she realized, like, damn, I fucked myself. But I don't think she realized that she all the way fucked herself. What you say, Kiki? She pulled a Tasha K and forgot that she didn't have TK money. Exactly. That's what I said the last show. Tasha K had the money to fight. She just didn't have the money to pay. I'm gonna say that one more time. Tasha K had the money to fight. She just didn't have the money to pay. Milagro doesn't have the money to fight or pay. Shit, my phone bill was due 2 days ago. It's not going to get paid until the 31st. I mean, the 21st. So if I don't have any money for my cell phone bill, that means I don't have no money to fight a lawsuit. I would have been like, sorry, Megan. I deeply apologize to you, Megan. I'm sorry, Megan. I would have been begging and everything. Like, please, Megan, don't sue me. This is what you get. If you don't have the money, keep your fucking mouth shut. Simple as that. Tory wasn't famous enough to hitch your wagon to. Yeah, he wasn't famous enough, really. That wasn't the battle that you wanted. Like I always ask y'all, name me a Tory Lanez song. Now I thought Say I thought that was Bryson Tillerson. Like I didn't think that was Tory Lanez, but it's Tory Lanez. I can barely name you a Tory Lanez song, so that should have let you know, like, okay, you're gonna hit yourself to him. He's more or less like, you got to really know who Tory Lanez is and all that. They're like, he wasn't a big enough star for her to hitch her wagon to, like you guys said, Trash, look them up. AT2 take. Oh, really? Oh, do we got to do an expose on Unite the People? Is that what you're telling me? Wow. Thank you for putting me up on game on that. Okay. She should have apologized right away. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Megan has much of a case against her. I mean, here's the thing. She don't have a lawyer. They don't plan on getting her another lawyer. She's not. Basically, she said she said this. She's not going to show up to court, and whatever happens, happens. So now knowing that, what does Megan have to prove? Nothing. She still thinks this is a conspiracy. I guess Meg made that video of herself and said, yeah. That was just like when Cardi B threatened to sue Storm Monroe, and he listen, you say the word sue to Storm, Storm gonna take it all down. Storm almost deleted his whole channel to it. Listen, Storm is smart. And I don't like Millie, but the case is weak. Okay. But like I said, and I don't think the case is the strongest unless they can actually prove that Tory and Milagro were working together and stuff like that. However, if she doesn't have a lawyer and she doesn't plan on showing up to court, she really ain't got to prove nothing, right? Milagro said she's not going to go to court. It's SOL. So I don't know. If you don't show up to court, then yeah. Hopefully she works something out. But let me go ahead and play you what this is the independent investigator, the journalist who knows the information and saying that Tory Lanez was railroaded and all that stuff. So here we go.
After being stabbed in prison. The attack occurred after the New York Post made contact with Megan Thee Stallion's team regarding the op-ed that I was working on with them, and Lanez was then stabbed days later. But his representatives claims that Megan's best friend, ex-best friend, Kelsey Harris, is the one responsible for the shooting. Now, I've been looking into this case for almost 6 months now. I immediately learned that George Gascon, the George Soros-funded prosecutor, railroaded Tory Lanez. And I've been actively working on the story. And this has been something that has been quite a movement. I did a petition with the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety at caldwellinstitute.org, where artists like Drake has encouraged his more than 140 million followers to sign this petition. We put it up on Wednesday. We're at almost 300,000 signatures today that advocate for the governor of California to intervene on this and pardon him, because I believe he was really railroaded. The artist known as Tory Lanez is currently recovering after being stabbed in prison. The attack occurred after the New York Post made contact with Megan.
So here's the thing. Gavin Newsom is not going to even bother himself with it. Gavin Newsom is trying to run for president. So he's definitely not helping no Negroes get out of jail. Because trust me, the Democrats are going to move further towards the right and try to appease white people. They ain't thinking about you niggas. I'm sorry to put it like that, but that's the truth. That's the way the country is moving. It's moving more towards the right and catering towards, the white folks. They ain't caring about us. Another thing is, it was the fact that Tory had a gun, period. It's not just because Megan got shot or who shot it. It was your weapon. This is why you're in trouble. Now, maybe you can get the sentences lowered a little bit or something like that. But at the same time, yeah, I don't. Well, let me ask y'all. Do you think Tory should be pardoned? Do you think he should be pardoned? Yes or no? Should Tory be pardoned? Let me ask y'all. What's up, Addicted? What's up, son? Nice to see everybody here. I know Miss Curiosity was here too. I mean, yeah. And listen, I don't even hate Tory at this point. What I'm more or less, this whole situation was a whole bunch of drunk people acting a fool. They got in trouble, and somebody ended up getting hurt. Luckily, nobody got killed, but people ended up getting hurt, right? At the end of the day, I don't know which more you honestly don't care. I'm all like, hey, if you're just like Milagro was saying, if you're saying, hey, you took the rap for it and all this other shit, blah blah blah, because you didn't want to see 2 black women go to jail or whatnot, okay, then take the rap, eat it, eat the 10 years and thug it out. But why are you still trying to convince everybody that you innocent and you doing all this fighting to get out of jail if you said that you just took the rap for it? Now you're having second guesses about it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why didn't you take, if you were taking the rap for it? Because don't forget, remember they gave him a plea deal? Put a 1 in the chat if you remember they gave Tory a plea deal. Put a 1 if you remember that. They tried to give him a plea deal. If you were just going to take the rap for it, why didn't you take the plea deal? And listen, I don't know how he was protecting Megan. That part still confuses the hell up out of me. He had plenty of outs in this situation. And if you chose not to take any of those outs, that's on you. I'm sorry. Okay, we got 10 minutes for commentary. I know probably a few of you would like to say something. You know, don't overtalk me. Don't try to steal my shine. Do not go off tangent. Just make your point and then move on so we can move to the next person. You know I hate panels. Now y'all don't want to. You know how I do. AT2, you should care if someone was hurt. A verbal argument doesn't warrant being shot. And let me say this. I definitely do not like, and I would never be okay with Megan being shot. That's not more or less what I'm saying. I think just the whole circus of it has turned me off. But Megan being shot at the end of the day, somebody was hurt. So I do want to make that clear. Like, I'm not cheering that on. I'm just saying, like, this whole situation with everybody's stories and all this shit, it's like I'm done with it. I'm done. But yeah, thank you for saying that though. I definitely glad that you said that. What's up, Stephanie? How you doing?
What it do, cuz? What it do?
What's up?
Hey, yeah, I mean, I think the issue with Tory is going to be even if he gets the other two convictions overturned, right? And he could get tried again, and depending on why and how they get overturned, he could get tried again, right? And so he may end up in the same place or worse. I've known people who've taken up their convictions on appeal, got the convictions overturned, been tried again, and gotten worse. And so he's going to take that risk if he follows this path and is actually successful. The other thing is that he's going to stay because I don't think there's any way he could get that the pew pew conviction overturned. And it's not just. I think I saw people in the chat saying it was about being in the vicinity of the gun or being around the gun. That's not it. They have to show possession to show carrying, and possession is usually custody, care, and control, which means it's not enough to just know it's there. It's not enough to just be in the vicinity of it. They have to show that there was some kind of that he was actively doing something with it, or he had the custody, care, and control of it, right? And it seems like they did prove that, and it doesn't seem like he's actually fighting that case very much. Like the new evidence, quote unquote, doesn't seem to go to his actual possession of the gun, so he wouldn't get out anyway, right? Like even if he beat those other two cases, he'd stay in. And the only incentive I think he might have to do that is to maybe get parole quicker, right? Because I think usually on a violent on a intentional crime where someone gets hurt, or a reckless crime where somebody gets hurt, which is what he was convicted of. Usually, and I don't know about California, but here you have to do at least half of that sentence before you're even considered for parole. And on a pew pew case, you wouldn't necessarily have that kind of mandatory amount of the sentence that you have to do before you could be considered for parole. I'm sure California has something similar because Texas has modeled a lot of their laws after California with like the 3 strikes and all that stuff. We call it something different.
I'm pretty sure, it's really strict. So I'm pretty
sure. Yeah, so I don't know where he would end up, even with if he got these convictions overturned. I don't know where he'd end up. So I'm not sure. He could get it worse. I knew a crazy woman here who got her conviction overturned. She got sentenced to 4, right? But in the meantime, it came out that she was a sociopath. Essentially, the entire community was really convinced that she did the thing. It wasn't just an accessory, but she did it. So when she went back to trial, well, that's still the thing. He couldn't be around a gun. I mean, they convicted him of, it wasn't a probation violation. They convicted him of the actual offense of carrying a gun as a felon. So to get a probation revocation, that's one thing. They could have sent him to prison on a probation revocation, but I don't think that's what they did. They actually tried him on the new offense of possession of a gun or carrying of a gun. So that's a different issue.
Either way, he would be effed. That I think
right.
That's
yeah. And I guess like my whole thing about the sociopath here in Austin, we all got convinced that she actually did the shit, right? So when she went to retrial, she got 20 instead of 4, right? And it was like, dude, you should not have overturned, you should not have sought an appeal on this deal. You walked away on a dead body case with 4 years. You should have been happy about that. Yeah. Yeah, because they thought she only was an accessory after the fact. But in the meantime, like all the stuff started coming out that like she was a psycho that did it, right? And then when she went to get her new, she got her conviction overturned, went to trial again, and got hammered kind of what she deserved. So yeah. And so Tory could make it worse for himself if he was to go back to trial. I think the jury might tax him for even having to go through that again because it was such a high profile case. They might be like, dude, you should have set your ass down and ate your food, right? And here we are again because you're a spoiled little brat, right?
Right. The thing that I want to bring up before I let the next is the whole thing about the DNA and the inconclusive and all that shit, right? So the new information or what Jason Lee had read out was that he had his lawyers retest the gun and it showed that his DNA was not on it. Now, in the case, what it was is that he did have gunpowder residue on him.
Right.
First. 2, his DNA was not on the magazine, but 3, when they tested the gun for the DNA, it was inconclusive. And everybody's thinking that inconclusive means that, okay, well, he's free. No, inconclusive just means they can't confirm or deny whether or not who DNA was on it. And they're upset because they said there was an unidentified woman's DNA on it. And they feel like, okay, well, that proves that was Kelsey. This is what they're running.
No, and to be real honest with you, even though I think this case is a mess, and I'm not complete. I would not have been able to convict. I don't think if I had been on that jury. That's all I'm gonna say. But I think also to give credit, to be generous to the prosecution, or just to be fair to the prosecution, even though I hate the prosecution, that's why I'm a defense attorney. But to be fair to the prosecution, DNA is very difficult to get off a gun. It's very difficult to get a DNA sample off a gun because of the material and because of just the transfer and the ability to test it and actually get a sample. So it could be
it's difficult to get DNA off a gun.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Yeah, so they may have gotten a minuscule amount and not be able to have quantified it enough and multiplied it. They have to multiply it out to actually be able to look at the genes. If you have too small a quantity, you can't do that in the lab. And so, that's sort of an issue where it's not that convincing to say somebody's DNA is not on the gun because that it depends on the other evidence, right? It depends on the other evidence, but that in and of itself is not terribly strong.
Okay.
Well, like a multiple sample, a multiple contributor. Yeah. I mean, that is, sometimes they have a hard time picking those apart because, there's multiple contributors. They can't really they can't synthesize it. They can't they basically have to make a lot more of it in the lab to be able to start looking at it properly. They have to whatever they call that. I can't think of the word right now. But if there's too many contributors, they can't do that to actually pick it apart and see who's who. Yeah.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you for clarifying that, Steph. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say is, just as a folk, like common sense, the common wisdom, is that have you ever met anybody who said at the beginning of the case they're going to take the rap?
No.
Okay, they never want to do that by the time that they're actually know what they're looking at. That's always a heroic thing. When somebody first gets arrested, they're like, I'm going to take the fall for you. I'm going to take the rap for you. POP, hold it down, all that shit, right? But at the end of the day, when they're actually having to look at that, oh man, I'm going to actually have to do this many years for this. They start singing a different song at that time. They're not really going to take it on the chin like a G at that point.
Right,
I've never seen it happen. I've never seen it happen. People always they reconsider that. They reconsider that heroic statement. when they actually get down to the nut cut. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's all I'm gonna say. So I'll go. I'll let you go, cuz. When POP, hold it down.
All right, thank you, cuz. I appreciate you. Have a good one, Steph.
You too.
Okay, Pretty Brown. Thank you so much for waiting, Pretty Brown. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good, good. Go ahead and sound off. I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be quiet.
I don't know. So for me, I feel like two things with the Milagro situation. I don't feel sorry for her. I think she has allowed her bias and whatever issue she took with Megan for whatever reason to like completely railroad her thought processes as it
Right.
relates
She made it her
to.
personality almost.
Yeah, like it almost makes me feel like the Tasha K situation. Like you've got so much feedback and interaction from the Tory situation, and that has been
Hmm.
fueling you ever since. And you lost track of right and wrong in the situation. Um, I think she should. I think she should at this point humble herself and apologize. I feel like
Right.
Megan is the type of person that maybe with a public apology as loud as the disrespect has been, that I
Hmm.
think that she could possibly let it go. And I only say that because I think about how she has had more than enough opportunity to sue Tory civilly, and she never pushed for that. And she could have easily won. Just because if you win in a criminal case, the burden of proof is way higher than it is civilly. So
Right.
just sheerly off of that, she would have won that monetary money, and it kind of possibly would have slowed down all this extra money he has for this media circus that he's creating about this new evidence that does not exist and just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And it's so funny hearing Milagro kind of debunk what he was saying. She was all like, so it's okay for you to be away from your 11-year-old, but as far as Kelsey, you were worried about her being away from her child? That doesn't make any sense.
It definitely doesn't make sense when at the time of the incident she wasn't pregnant. So
Ding,
that
ding, 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 ding.
like so that clearly doesn't make sense. And then have we now abandoned the Rock Nation thing? Because it can't be both ways, you know. So I think he should stay where he is. I kind of do wish though at this point he has been consistently re-victimizing Meg. Like people didn't understand why, well, he's already in jail. Why should she need a restraining order? Because she has been explaining and saying to you all that behind the scenes he has been doing these things, and which he's doing
Right,
again. Like you have a whole op-ed person on now the news making it seem like once again that there's really new information. And when you look at these comment sections, people are literally like, oh, she should go, they need to send her to jail, end her career, so forth and so on. And it's just like, how is that fair to the person that was really hurt in this situation? Like he
right.
possibly
Because
should
Nikki's
get
the
more time.
victim.
Yeah. Like I feel like he should kind of get more time. It's like also like why aren't people looking at the fact that okay, even let's say we go with the theory that
Mhm.
it was Kelsey, right? But the thing is, what he wouldn't be able to sue the system because he said out his own mouth from his own platform that Kelsey didn't do the shooting. So it's like
Mm.
you can't, like, what do you guys believe in? Y'all hold Megan to the standard of being a liar when essentially the one lie she told was to Gayle King
Right,
about that.
about not having
Right,
sex.
right,
But she never said, oh, Tori didn't shoot me. She never
right.
said that.
She's consistently said that since we heard from her completely. So it's like,
Right.
why?
And who cares? She was probably ashamed because Tori only 5'5", or
Right.
I think it's at 5'3". So she was ashamed, like, damn, I let this little nigga,
And not only that, I just think that she played semantics, to be completely honest. Because what Gail asked her, did you all have a sexual relationship? So if it was like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and then it ended this way, it's like, yeah, no, we ain't have no relationship. Like,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like when you talk to her, I mean, when we see her expression in that moment, Gail had to even ask her again, like, yeah, Meg, did you have were you guys sexual? You know, so it was like we knew that everybody to me knew that she was
yes.
avoiding claiming him like us women do, and probably some men.
Yeah,
When
I
certain
like
people
this
you just
comment
don't want to
too.
tell.
And her sex life was not on trial. Like it,
Absolutely.
like when y'all be talking about Megan's a slut and she sleep with everybody. Okay, but that's not like on trial. Her
Right.
slutness is not like okay. You can call her like I don't think she's a slut, but y'all call her a slut. She sleep with everybody. I'm okay with that, but that's not on trial. Like that doesn't matter.
Yep. I totally agree. I felt like she thought Gail was a safe space, one as an older black woman. And that's
Mhm.
kind of sort of like asking a grape victim, well, what were you wearing? Like,
Right.
what was, what bearing did it have? They weren't in the bed, they were in a vehicle in the public.
Right.
So,
And she didn't know Gail was going to ask her that question. She was surprised that Gail was going to ask her
yes.
that. Like, we was here talking about getting shot. Like, we weren't here talking about, whether or not that Gail, you know what? Ever since she went to space, I've been wanting to expose her ass because,
Did she really go to space? That's
right,
the
that's what
real
they say.
one.
And they really
Okay.
gonna say, and they got the nerve to call them an astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
Nah,
Another
that's what it is.
another thing I think people don't ever ask themselves, why is it that Tory or his family have no vitriol for Kelsey? Like,
You know what? That's a
throughout
good
this
question.
entire process, there has never been the way his dad was passionate about Rock Nation and the heavens and the stars and the earth, and this is going to happen. At what
Hmm.
point do you turn and use your congregation and your family to say, Kelsey, tell the truth? Kelsey, do the right thing. People, everybody tag Kelsey, tell her to do the right thing. Tell her what she's doing isn't right. Even anything in that capacity. Even right now at the press conference that they just had, there was still no vitriol for Kelsey.
Right. I never even paid attention to that. They never have any vitriol for Kelsey. Like that's the one that y'all should be going to. If she's the one who did it, y'all need to go after her. Why do they never say anything really about her? Like I've never heard
Yeah.
Milagro go in or any of these people really go in on Kelsey. Like they should be dragging her.
And that's because, to be honest, if you look at it in its totality, I believe, like you said, this is why Milagro is mad. Tory has veered off script. And with what he sent to Jason Lee, it does not correspond to what they were claiming and sticking to. And to the point, like she said, now you even have Chris Brown in it or whatever. And why she's saying that is because they wanted the theme originally that they had a pact about, is it being Rock Nation. So now Rock Nation is supposedly taking down Chris Brown just for helping Tory, but it can't be that if it's about Kelsey, because Kelsey has no connection to Rock Nation.
Right, right. I feel like literally Tory right now, he windmilling for his life. So he throwing anything out there and seeing if
Mm-hmm.
it sticks. And also his people are throwing anything out there trying to make it seem that he's innocent. But really they know they're just throwing Marys and hoping somebody catches it. But at this
Well,
point,
first
like
of all, it's keeping him rich, to be honest. He has
mm,
like a continuous donation, like that has been ongoing. Like one thing I can say, his umbrella people and everybody, they've been supporting. So I feel like when things quiet down, it's like, where's the next stunt? So it appears
mhm,
to be, even the stabbing was incorporated in some kind of way. I don't want to
right.
say that it did not happen, but I don't feel like it was to the magnitude of 14 stabs, 2 collapsed lungs, on a ventilator, and all within 24 hours, able to talk fine.
Right.
We're doing a press conference. Like, what?
No, somebody said earlier in the chat he didn't get stabbed. He fell on glass. If
Okay.
Megan a liar, he a liar too. F that shit.
Mm-hmm. But even with that, like everything that's had, like I don't know if you all noticed that everybody noticed that. All right, it was the stabbing, the press conference, but then the same day of the press conference, called Crawford went on that blue couch place and was sitting down once again talking about Meg when you all have settled y'all whatever y'all had and she won, you know. And so it's like, what are you reliving now? All of a sudden, it's almost like this was like a orchestrated thing on all fronts, where they say Rock Nation is doing all the things and moving all the puzzles, but honestly, it's given that's what Tory side is really doing, because it's like an actual big attack right now on Megan, and now we have the news added into the equation outside of all the top bloggers
Mhm.
posting about it and as if it's fact, you know.
Right.
So
And the funny part that you mentioned that's why Milagro is crashing out, because she was not a part of this.
mhm
When Jason Lee said the part, besides just the text message about him saying he took the rap, but the part where he said, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be only doing one interview, and if you want to be a part of it. Milagro said, not on this video, but another video, she had no clue about this whole I'm only doing one interview. Milagro was still under the impression that when Tori gets free, she was going to get the interview. This is
mhm
what she's mad about. Ding, ding, ding. God
yep.
damn it, I love when we solve an issue.
Yes. So it's just unfortunate. I'm gonna keep praying for Megan. I do hope that her legal team kind of gets involved and does something about the media storm, and even them now making statements about her setting up him being stabbed. That is very dangerous narrative to have going
Yeah,
on.
that is, because it's not safe for her, because now people are gonna be
Yeah.
thinking, oh, you with some gang and you did this, and now
Mhm.
you think the guy who stabbed him is a pedo and all this other stuff. And I'm all like, don't attach her to that guy. Like that Tory was probably running his mouth like he always does, and he met the right person.
From my understanding, he in there, you know, throwing money around. Because again, like I said, he's had an endless flow of it as it relates to, you know, being close and helping people out. And everybody know that's a dangerous game to play in jail. That's something. If you start that in jail, you got to keep that going. You know.
Right.
And there's somebody that's still going to look at you like a chump for even doing that. Like that's something you just don't do. So I really don't. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I don't know. I just don't know. I honestly feel like it also has gotten so bad that it affects Megan's sales. Like it affects so many different things where people want her to let it go. But I kind of want her to go a little harder. Like this need to be shut down and tightened up completely. Like no games being played. But
Right. I
thank
feel like you
you.
need to go harder. Definitely. I agree.
Hmm.
But Pretty Brown, thank you so much for coming up. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. You have a good one.
You too.
All right, you guys, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate Steph. I appreciate Pretty Brown Eyes for calling in. That was a good conversation, definitely. Like I said, I don't really talk about Milagro that much. So when people are saying I'm relishing in her and all this, her in trouble and all this, I honestly don't care. This is just commentary, but I find it interesting that she's having her wake up call that, yeah, you were the sacrificial lamb and you got played, lady. You got played. I don't know what else to say. This is all you're doing. This is all on you, homie. This is all on you. But let me know what you guys think. Replay crew, please comment. I would love to have a conversation with y'all. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting and rocking with your boy AT2. Do y'all want to drag Aubrey O'Day tonight? Because I want to drag Aubrey O'Day because here's the thing. Y'all been saying, oh, you're victim shaming. Aubrey's been through so much. No, Aubrey was clout chasing. Come to find out, she's not even testifying in the Diddy trial. Worse than Jaguar, right? All right, let's get out of here.